What's up, lovelies? Welcome to the Making of Emma, a series of videos I intend to do on a regular basis to keep you updated about my process of adapting Jane Austen's Emma to graphic novel. In this episode number 2, I will be sharing a little bit about my process of searching for the right art style to bring Emma's story to life, Duniath Comics style. I hope you like it. The search for style. I often get asked what comes in play when choosing an art style to represent a story. The truth is, there is no short, easy answer to that question because it's a journey that passes through several phases of transformation, and I wanted to share some of that with you. Disclaimer, this is not a rulebook, this is just how I personally approach things when creating my work. If you've been following Duniath Comics for a while, you've probably noticed I do enjoy playing with different art styles, inking, and coloring techniques, which could vary greatly in between projects. For example, if you followed my webcomic Spinsterly Ever After, you might remember how heavily influenced I was by Japanese styles such as manga, chibi, and kawaii. Oversized eyes, oversized heads, and over-the-top cuteness. It's very true when they say we learn a lot from our mistakes. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the style I was able to achieve for Spinsterly Ever After, but on the run, I also discovered it was simply not sustainable long term. The illustrations were created using a style called layered color blocking, in which line art is mostly omitted and shapes are achieved by breaking down the illustration into countless layers, then doing shading on the edges to create diffused, soft lines to give the whole thing a very painterly, very soft, grainy look normally seen in children's books illustrations. This process works beautifully if one is illustrating full-size pages for a book. But being so time-consuming, it's simply not the best choice for a comic or a graphic novel with an average of 5 to 6 panels per page and a much larger page count. So, layered color blocking quickly became the bane of my existence, and Spinsterly Ever After was abandoned after only one season, at least for now. As I moved forward with new ideas, doodles, and projects, I slowly and organically moved past manga and into my own characteristic style. I've always been heavily influenced by classic comics such as Archie, Blondie, and Calvin and Hobbes, in which simplicity has always given us dynamic, beautiful, and hilarious characters that have remained in our hearts for generations. That simplicity has been reimagined in modern comics. One of them is Dana Simpson's Phoebe and Her Unicorn, one of my personal favorites. Take a look at this illustration. Simpson uses very minimal shading, a very crisp and clean line art, and beautiful backgrounds made of simple shapes and color gradients. Her style is exquisite, unique, and very characteristic. When illustrating a comic, it's important to remember that both characters and backgrounds will surely need to repeat panel after panel as the story unfolds, and this is why sometimes less is more. The simpler the style, the easier it is to get through a page, both as an artist and as a reader. Overly detailed backgrounds could potentially overwhelm the characters and distract the reader. And over-designed characters make the process of reproducing them panel by panel very taxing and unnecessarily time-consuming. It's important to come up with a page that is clean and offers enough information visually so that it doesn't look cluttered when speech balloons and captions are added on top of the art. Upon experimenting, I found out line art indeed makes production much easier than color blocking in multiple layers, since one can simply drag and drop colors within the lines to render and quickly clean up and elevate the image with shading, gradients, highlights, and effects. When I started doodling the characters that later became my slice-of-life comic Your Sense and My Sensibility, I opted for a simple, sharp, cute, cartoony style that in no time began to define Duniath Comics' own style. I decided to start coloring my line art a shade slightly darker than the color inside of it instead of leaving it black like most comics. Pastels have always been my thing, so it was just natural to embrace them as my signature palette. My characters consistently have rosy cheeks, their eyes have no pupils, and the small irises always go in a gradient from dark at the top to light at the bottom. They are a bit messy, a little careless, and unapologetically cutesy. When searching for the right style to bring Emma to the world of Duniath Comics, I wanted to keep some of those things that make Your Sense and My Sensibility so special, but adding something different, something more. I decided to keep the colored line art and the cell shading, a style in which shadows are added using very sharp lines with a digital art tool called Multiply. This tool allows artists to quickly add shadows by picking up the color underneath and automatically turning it a shade darker when coloring. Pretty handy and a great time saver. Now for Emma, I opted to do the rendering a bit messier than the clean look I gave to Your Sense and My Sensibility to give it a more pastels and watercolors vibe since it's a story set in the Regency era. However, the character design took a lot of experimentation. At first, Emma's curls were very defined, which slowed me down every time I had to draw her 4 to 5 times per page. And I decided I wanted something less refined, something a bit messy, doodly, cute. I mean, we're talking about Emma Woodhouse, who's got a portfolio full of unfinished, sketchy artwork. And I wanted to play with that idea, and I really like it. I will have an episode in the near future fully focused on the creation and the design of the character of Emma, so I won't be diving into that today. There are several aspects that had to be explored individually in order to create a cohesive look for the entire graphic novel. Your character design is only as good as your rendering technique, your coloring technique, not to mention the importance of balancing artwork and lettering to come up with something that is crisp and clean and pleasing to the eye. I will be dedicating episodes of this video series to each of these aspects for you to witness how I'm tackling this monster of a project. I hope this episode got to show a little bit about my process of searching for the right art style to adapt Emma to graphic novel in the style of Duniath Comics. For now, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the love and the support, and stay tuned, there's more to come. I'm Georgie Castilla, and this has been The Making of Emma. See you soon!